All right, boys and girls, this week what we're going to do is we're going to take our leaf drawing that we made last week and we're going to turn it into our stained glass design. Now, as you saw in the video, stained glass is divided up into sections of color. So we already have our leaf design. What we want to do now is we have all this negative space, all this space in the background that is blank. So we want to add some shape to that. So we're going to take our Sharpie or black marker, and we're just going to divide that shape up into smaller shapes. Now you could do any type of lines in the background that you want. I'm going to do some straight lines in my background to divide up the space. You could use curvy lines, you could use zigzag lines, but I'm going to use straight lines. And then I'm just going to divide up this background to make it a little more interesting. And now you see I added the word here, so I could keep that just like that. And then I could add some more lines this way. We're just going to make it as interesting as we can for the people that are viewing our artwork. All right, so that one's done. Now let me work on this one. Now this one doesn't have to be the same type of lines. So this one I used straight lines. Maybe in this one I'm going to use some curved lines. So maybe we want to curve a line this way or curve a line this way. We just want to break up the background. It was one big space. Now we want to make it into smaller shapes. So I'm just going to take my marker and divide it up. Just like so. I can retrace my leaf if I need to. If I get outside the lines, I just fill it in, make that line a little bit thicker. Because stained glass has leading, the leading is never the same thickness all the way around. So if you have areas that are thicker and then areas that are thinner, it's just going to make it look more realistic and more like stained glass. Now once you have your shapes made, you're now going to start adding your color. Now for this project, we're going to do fall leaves with a cool color background, because the sky, we're going to make cool colors. The leaves are going to be warm colors. So if you think about warm colors, I'm going to look through my markers and I'm going to grab the warm colors. So I'm going to get my pinks, my reds, my browns, my peach, all of my warm, hot colors. So if you look, I've just divided my markers into two sets. My warm, which remind me of the sun, and my cool, which remind me of the sky or the water. I'm going to put my cool colors aside. I'm going to grab my warm colors, and I'm going to start designing my leaf. Now when we do this, we're only going to take the marker and we're just going to be drawing the outline of the shape. So we're not going to actually color in, which is going to be different from what we normally do. Normally we would color the whole shape in, but for this project we are just going to outline inside the shape. I'm putting just a good amount of color right there, and I'm leaving the inside kind of blank. Then I'm going to rotate it. Now if you accidentally go over the line, it's okay. So we're just going to show you with this one leaf here. We're only going to do this side for right now. You're going to do both sides, but I'm just going to show you what to do. Whatever you do on this side of the paper, you're also going to do on that side of the paper. Okay, let's see. Don't forget your stem. Now remember, these are fall leaves, so they're not going to be your greens and your cool colors. We want them nice and warm. You want a nice kind of thick line going around that shape. Now for this one, I'm going to add some brown ones in there. Because if you look at a leaf, during this time of year, they start browning. The whole leaf doesn't start browning at the same time. it starts in different sections. So we're going to kind of imitate nature. Some of them you could be bigger than others. Now I'm going to take and add some brown sections. Now you notice I'm leaving a lot of white space. This is one project where white space is good, boys and girls, because we're going to be filling that up, and I'm going to show you the magic in just a little bit. All right, so my leaf is now done. So now I want to work on my background, which are going to be in the cool colors. So I'm going to switch sets, and now I'm going to work in the cool colors. So I'm going to come back to my background. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the leaves. I'm going to do it with the shapes that are in the background. And you'll see that they're nice and contrasting. The warm hues, the pinks and the reds against the cool blues and the purples just make a really nice contrast. If you get outside the lines, it's okay. You just don't want to get outside of every line. But a few is not going to hurt anything. I'm going to switch colors. I'm going to outline that whole shape. Now these shapes are kind of different. They're not your traditional squares or rectangles, so it's going to take a little bit longer to make sure we get them nice and neat. And you notice I got water. So once we finish with the markers, we're going to be doing a little color magic. I know some of you are doing this at home, and you may not have paints at home. And this is going to be a good option for you if you don't have paints. Even the ones of us that are in the classroom, we're going to be doing the same thing. So we're just using our Crayola markers and outlining each shape as we go with those nice cool colors. If the colors overlap a little bit, it's okay. Just try to keep your warm and cool separate. You don't want your warm and cool to get mixed up. I'm going to keep those nice and separate. You notice how I'm kind of not putting the same color next to each other? I want to separate those colors. That's going to make it more interesting when we do our design. Remember, I'm still leaving those spaces. Let's see. I didn't really use a whole lot of purple, but that's okay. You may not use every color. You do want to make sure that each shape is a different color next to each other, though. So I have turquoise blue and then purple and then green so that they're not the same color next to each other. Because if they're the same color next to each other, you're not going to see the difference like in a real stained glass window. So you want the colors to be somewhat separated. All right. Now that we have our sections finished, it's time for the magic. So we're going to actually turn these markers into paint. So we've got our little bit of water. I just put it in a little Dixie cup. So if you have a cup that you use in the bathroom for rinsing your mouth, that will work. You're going to get a brush. Any size brush is going to work. Sometimes the smaller the better for our small shapes. We're going to start with our large shape. What I want you to do is you're just going to put water on top of your marker, and you're going to let that paint seep out. You're going to let it dissolve, and you're going to let the color fill in that shape in the center, the white space in the center. Now I'm going to do all the same colors first. So I'm going to put some water on all the red sections. Want to be careful not to let it get into my background. Just need a tiny little bit of water. Just going to let it sit right there on top and dissolve. And what's going to happen is the water is going to react with the marker, and it's going to pull the color out of the marker you put on your page, and it's going to put it in the area where there's no color. Now we're going to do our next one. Now some of your colors are going to blend a little. That's why we're doing all the warm colors first, because we want a nice clean brush when we go to do the cool colors. So we're doing our warm colors first. Let it sit on there. It's going to pull that color right off the page and put it in your white areas. You just want to get that water sitting right on top of the marker. This is why we used permanent marker for our outlining. If we had used black marker, our outlines would be blending in with our colors. I'm just going to let that water sit right on top. Now if you had a hair dryer, you could use a hair dryer to dry your paper faster. We don't have a hair dryer in the art room right now, so we're not going to worry about it. We're just going to let it naturally dry. It's going to get tricky down here where the stem is. We don't want it to mix in with the cool colors. We're going to do our last little area, our brown. Look at that. Look at that color just coming right out of the marker. And it blends in. It's going to look so much like glass when it's finished. Really. If it blends in with the other colors next to it, it's okay. I'll just make it more interesting. All right, now we're going to let that dry for a minute. While that's drying, we're going to rinse our brush out really good. We want to get all that warm out of there. We don't want any more warm paint in there. We want to get it all out. I'm actually going to change brushes because I don't want it to get mixed. If you're at home, you can wash your brush in the sink. That'll get that out. And then you can start on your cool background. You see it's just going to pull that color right out of the marker. Now you don't want to brush too hard. You don't want to scrub, because if you scrub, it's going to put a hole in your paper. You just want to gently pull the color. And look, I got a little purple in the blue. It's okay. It's just going to blend. We just don't want the blue blending in with our warm. We want to keep our warm and our cool separate. This is a great way to paint at home without making a big mess. You notice that I'm not really making a mess because I'm containing my colors inside my shapes. I want to keep my colors right inside my shapes. I want to clean my brush good. I don't scrub too hard. If I scrub too hard, I'm going to end up putting a hole in my paper. I don't want that. So I don't really want to scrub. So I'm going to take that water and just put it right there on the color. Now if we were really making stained glass, we would have to cut each piece of glass separate. We're making faux stained glass. Oh, here I got to be a little careful. It's getting really close to my stem there. Pardon the bell, boys and girls. I'm making this video in the morning, just before all the students arrive. And there you have it. We now have turned marker into paint, and we've made our faux stained glass window. Now we're just going to let it dry. Oh, a little bit is getting into our pink there, so we want to tidy that up. And I can't wait to see these when you're finished. Have a great day.